Hello and welcome. This is Nicole from Illuminated Movement Astrology, here to talk today about the upcoming new moon in Sagittarius. Can you believe this is the final few weeks of 2023? What a year this has been. And, it's been a lot of Alice in Wonderland kind of energy. It's like going down the rabbit hole and trying to figure out what the heck has been going on because everything has felt a little bit weird, right? And 2024 is going to be equally, if not more, pivotal. And that's right around the corner. So when we look at this new moon in Sagittarius, it doesn't quite have that same Sagittarius, like big, optimistic joy. Let's just go. Let's socialize. Let's make everything, fun and festive. And let's go on an adventure. Right. It's got a little bit different energy this year because of where the aspects are, where the other planets are in the sky, and the conversations that are going on. So we're going to take a look at the chart and see what all this is about and how we can best use this energy. One. All right. So the new moon. Now, for those of you who are new, a new moon, say that 5 times fast. For those of you that are newer to astrology, why do we know? How do we know it's a new moon? Well, if you look at the chart, so over here on that right-hand side is Sagittarius. And if you look at the chart, the sun, which is this circle here, and the moon right next to it are besties. They're like peanut butter and jelly. If they were opposite each other, if the moon was over here on the other side in Gemini, like it was on a couple weeks ago, that would give us the full moon. So we've got new moon, sun and moon together at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, with Mars hanging out at 7 degrees away from that. So Mars in Sag wants to put that pedal to the metal, right? We've been talking about this month, wants to go fast, wants to go hard, wants to kind of Evel Knievel things, right? Like, let's do it, let's go. But it's been a little bit more challenging to just let Mars be free, to let Sagittarius be free. Why is that? Well, it's been hitting over on these Pisces planets. So Pisces is up here at the top. First, when the sun went into Sag, it hit Saturn, right? But now we've got this square to Neptune in Pisces happening. So Neptune squaring off, hitting this new moon in Sag. So what does that do? Well, Pisces energy, Neptune energy, they share a little bit together, but they are different. Neptune is the planet of the unseen realms. It's the energy of intuition and that which goes beyond the 5 senses, right? It's music, it's poetry, it's art, it's theater, it's illusions, it's the mystical, it's the fantastical, it's enchantments, all of those kinds of things. So we have that planet forming a dynamic aspect with this energy of the new moon. And so we don't really have that same Sag kind of punch. It's getting softened. It's getting dissolved a bit. It's getting a little bit misty with that Neptune presence, that Neptune energy. So what do we do with that? Well, we have to take kind of a good look at where we're putting our optimism, where we're maybe making things kind of, I want to say, like illusory. Like, where are we giving so much optimism, right? That maybe there's some delusions of grandeur, or maybe there's something going on where we're a little bit like not seeing clearly. So just being aware of that, just having that kind of in the background as we talk about the rest of this chart. So that's the big one for me there. But then if we also look at some of the other things, and I didn't put that on this chart, but I should have done that. I'll get to that in a second. But when we take a look at some of these other pieces, so Mars ruling that north node in Aries, we get that north node in Aries. It started over the summer and it's going to take us all the way through January of 2025, really helping us try to get clear on who we are as individuals, our self-agency, which is a little bit challenging right now, right? Particularly because we've got that Neptune energy, we've got the Saturn in Pisces, and we have Pluto still in Capricorn, kind of tearing down the structures that we thought were reliable. So we're getting some help from that North Node in Aries, some big help where we need it. We really, really need to understand that when we don't own who we are, when we are unable to connect to our authenticity, and authenticity is a word that gets tossed around a lot, but authenticity, the ability to really connect to our intuition, to feel our gut feelings, to be able to pick up on and discern our internal compass, and then having the courage to follow the promptings that we receive that are right for us. Okay, that's really, really important right now. And it will continue to be important as we move through this age of Aquarius, right? Aquarius as the genius, as the positive side of revolution, doesn't just come from nowhere. So we'll talk about that probably in another video because that's a really big conversation. But we need to have enough faith, have enough optimism, have enough fire in our bellies, right? We got that fire from Sag. It's mutable. It wants to share. It wants to go out. It wants to go beyond itself. We need to be able to tap into that despite what may be going on with Neptune, right? We just need to use a little bit of caution there. And despite some other things that are going on in the chart with Jupiter, which is the planet that's presiding over this new moon. Jupiter is the planet that's associated with Sagittarius, so Jupiter gets precedence here. Jupiter is still retrograde, so it's in Taurus, right? Taurus, the five senses, security, building solid foundations, wanting to really live life, to experience life. You know, a lot of people in the spiritual communities have been talking about, oh, let's just kind of leave Earth, let's float away, let's just do 5D. And that's a lot of that Neptune illusion. And all of that is great. 5D does exist. What we need to do is be able to pull down, right, from that Pisces energy, that 5D inspiration, that 5D creative energy. We need to be able to pull that down, but we live in the 3D. And Taurus is kind of the queen of the 3D realm in a lot of ways because it has to do with our physical experience. So we need that. Whether we want to be on Earth or not, we're here, right? So we might as well make the most of it. And Taurus can be really great at doing that. So Jupiter wanting us to be grateful. That's a big word here that I would say, be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for being incarnated. Be grateful for your body, even with all of its flaws or whatever is going on with it, being grateful, right? Being grateful that you have senses, whether or not you have all five or more of them, right? Being grateful for what you do have, because there's a magic thing about gratitude. When you become grateful for the things around you, for the people around you, for the circumstances around you, you get more. Gratitude multiplies. Right? Lack consciousness does the opposite. It constricts, it pulls away. So when we have this Jupiter in Taurus, really being able to look at what we have, what we value, what we've got in terms of our resources, our physicality, and making the most of it, or at least being grateful for it. And sometimes that can be challenging, right? There's a lot going on in the world right now that is definitely challenging our ability to be grateful. So making sure that we've got that going on, because in retrograde is not a bad thing, right? Retrograde is asking for a review. It's asking for a revision. It's asking us to go in, look at what we've got, look at where we are, take kind of an inventory before the planet moves direct again and we go forward. So it's a really useful time. And the social and outer planets do it longer than the planets that are closer to the sun. So Jupiter will be going direct by the end of this year. But while it's still in retrograde, take a look at what you've got. Okay. Before we take off into 2024, when things are really going to speed up next year, take a look at what you've got. Take a look at something that you may have, a talent, a capacity, again, a resource, maybe a skill that you picked up years ago that you never thought would amount to anything. Well, maybe now is the time to use that. So take inventory of what you have. That's going to be really, really important, because we've got Jupiter also opposing Venus over here. Now, Venus is associated with Taurus. She's not super, super comfortable all the time in Scorpio, because she would prefer to be in a lighter, more airy, more carefree sign. But what Venus in Scorpio does really, really well is she goes deep. She figures out what's attractive to her that maybe she wouldn't allow herself to find in a lighter space, right? She goes into the underworld. She goes down and digs down and finds something new when she journeys through Scorpio. So if you're finding yourself in a space of maybe something was attractive to you or something you wanted to bring in, Venus magnetizes, remember. If there was something that you've maybe wanted for a long time that no longer speaks to you, this is a good time to take a look at that, because we can really dig deep and find what is it we do want now, not what we wanted a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 25 years ago. That may have really changed. Maybe not, and that's okay too. But for so many of us, the last few years have been um, so transformative that what was once valuable to us has shifted. So really taking a look at that, allow yourself to go in and let Scorpio, the beauty of Scorpio, that phoenix, let it burn the things away that need to go and show you something bright and new and maybe even resurrected. It could be something from the past, especially with Jupiter here. Again, that maybe you had to put down. Maybe it was a talent or a gift. Maybe you really like to cook, or you really like to build tables. I don't know. And you thought you'd never be able to do it again. Or maybe you like to teach, or maybe you like to work with numbers, or maybe you've always wanted to go live in another country. Maybe it's time to re-examine those things and be able to bring them back. Because remember, Sagittarius does want us to go beyond our comfort zone. Taurus is comfort, right? Taurus likes what's tried and true, and we love Taurus for that, because we do need some stability, right? Otherwise, everything's chaos. But Sag really wanting us to go outside what is known to us. So taking a look at what we have, and maybe that is about bringing something from the past that can propel you forward with this new energy. The key here, whenever we're dealing with Jupiter and Venus, is moderation. And that's not necessarily something that either one of them likes. If you know people or maybe it's you, that have strong Jupiter Venus in your chart, they don't want to say no. They don't want to just have, the bare bones package. They kind of like to have it all in whatever way that is. So there's a tendency to overdo or overspend or overtalk or overeat or overworry, whatever it is for you. Just be aware of that energy as we're going through the next week of where are you doing too much, right? And just you don't have to cut it all the way back, right? But just take a little bit of that Saturn. Saturn is so good at just saying, let's pump the brakes a little bit. So just being aware of that as we look at this new moon. So one nice thing is I've been talking about Pluto square the nodes all year. And if you notice, there is no big triangle on this particular chart. So some people may still view the nodes in square to Pluto, but at this point, I think they're off of it. They're past 4 degrees. So for me, we have Pluto no longer squaring the nodes. It is direct. It's going to change signs next year. So it'll change signs. I think it's the end of January in 2024. It'll be there for about 9 months, and then it'll retrograde back and forth before it finally stays at the end of 2024. And we'll have Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 plus years. But at this moment, we've got Pluto still in Capricorn, asking us to take a final look, since it's in the final degrees, take a final look at what needs to be restructured, what traditions need to go, what power we have been giving away to other people for the last 15 years needs to change. Because once we get Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to be like we've never known before. We're really going to have this incredible renaissance energy, this incredible breakthrough energy. Like humanity as we know it is going to change. So make sure you're taking a look at Capricorn things. What do you want to keep from Capricorn as well? Because we don't want to, when we get into Aquarius, Aquarius has been associated with rebellion and things like that. Well, rebellion is great, but if you just tear everything down and that's it, you've got no plan for the future, how did that really help? Right? So take a look at the things you do want to keep. Take a look at where you're giving your power away to outside authorities, whether they're teachers, whether they're governments, whether they're news agencies, whether they're partners, whatever it is. Okay, take a look at that and really spend the next few months cleaning that up, clearing it out as best you can. And one of the things that's going to help you a little bit with this is Mercury in Capricorn. So that little S down here at the bottom, Mercury will be stationing on this new moon, which I find so fascinating, December the 12th. So Mercury stationing. It hasn't yet gone retrograde, but it will be. So it's basically coming to a standstill. Now, Mercury in Capricorn it's shrewd, it's calculating, it cuts to the chase, it knows what it wants, and it can take the most direct path to go there. It may not be the quickest path, but it will be the most direct path, which is great. We need a little bit of that right now. Then what's going to happen is Mercury is going to go retrograde. So it's going to go back into Sagittarius. It's going to go back and pick up whatever we need from Sag, that lightness, again, that optimism. Maybe it is travel. Maybe it's connecting with people in other places, spaces, people who don't think just like you. Take a look at that, pick it back up, and then go forward again, making your plans, making concrete, networking, making concrete revisions to whatever it is in your life that you are currently working on, depending on where you're at. So yeah, but really fascinating. I'm so fascinated that Mercury has chosen to station retrograde on this day. I just think I love the sky. I love how the sky works. It's just amazing. But yeah, new moon, a lot going on in the bigger picture, right? So to recap that, Sag, we really want to find things that take us beyond, that take us out of our comfort zone, that move us forward in some way, to expand our minds, to expand our horizons, to have trust that even though all these things are falling apart, and even though so many things in the world right now just feel ripe with chaos, they feel like they're falling apart and never going to get better. It's like, when are we going to have easier times? Well, we will. It will happen, right? You need to cultivate that inner faith, and it has to come from within. If you're putting your faith in things out there, whether they're your partner, whether they're your business that you work for, whether it's, a teacher at school, whatever it is for you, that's challenging because people and events outside of us, they're subject to change, right? And so if we're putting all of our faith in something outside of us, and that could include whatever God is to you, if you're just putting everything out there and you're leaving everything beyond yourself, you're losing that self-agency, which does come in really strongly when you are working with, again, however you connect to God, spirit, creation, is that it's a co-creation. It's the internal that reflects the external and not the other way around, right? So making sure that you have that connection to self, to your creative energy, that you're really taking the time right now before things speed up, because they will, to do whatever you can to get yourself grounded, to get yourself practices, to stay centered in yourself, to stay grounded in yourself, to have things, anchors to hold on to, because we're going to need that coming up, so that you really can be who you came here to be, so that you can live your life purpose, and so that you can be the puzzle piece of the big, larger puzzle that you were meant to be. You don't have to cut yourself into anything else. You don't have to paint yourself into anything else. just be who you really are inside. And I know that's easier said than done a lot of the time, but really being able to stand in that will help. Take a little bit of look at moderation, right? We don't want to go overboard in whatever area it is that overboard is coming up for you. And yeah, enjoy this new moon. I think it's overall a good one. Stop sharing my screen. I think it's an overall good one. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here to make things even better. We're kind of setting things up. We're kind of in that phase of like setting up the party, right? Or setting up the production. It's not quite curtains open yet, but we're getting there. So taking a look at all of those things, remembering to cultivate some faith, and yeah, wishing you all a wonderful new moon. So if you have any questions or comments, pop them down below. I do read them and I will respond to them. And I just appreciate each and every one of you that subscribe and that like and that comment and that share, because it really does mean the world to me. So enjoy these last few weeks of December and have a great new moon in Sag. Mwah. Take care.